Happy Monday. What's up, guys? Busy day for me here at the gym. I obviously had a workout. I have 3 personal training clients. I have some people dropping in later, and then all the classes to coach. So busy. I've also been studying a lot, and I want to talk about what it is that I'm learning, because already I've only read 2 articles, but I've really studied them, and that's the key. Don't just read them. You got to study it and understand the subject. And there's a lot of things in there that I didn't understand, especially about the anatomy, that I now feel very comfortable talking about. So I want to talk about those 2 articles. The first one is going to be, I know it's backwards, but 3 important ab exercises, the CrossFit Journal, obviously by Greg Glassman, and issued in May 2003. Second article is Fundamentals, Virtuosity, and Mastery by Greg Glassman. And again, this was in August of 2005. So what I'm doing is I'm reading it at least 3 times, and I'm coming up with my own handwritten notes. So let's talk about the 3 important ab exercises. They go over the GHD, the hollow rock, and the L-sit. So the first one, the GHD, they spent the most time on, and I learned the most from. Yay! I guess at the time that they made this article, they were saying that what they say is wrong with it is that it harms the lumbar spine by tugging on the spine of the iliopsoas. Furthermore, they say it misses the abdominals because primary mover is the hip flexors, which is true. I've learned that the hip flexor is actually 2 muscles, your iliopsoas and your rectus femoris, which is in your leg. Even though the hip flexors are the primary movers, the abs play a strong role in stabilizing the torso to prevent hyperextension of the spine. This movement, if carefully introduced and practiced, is a potent tool for re-educating the member to use hip flexors and reduce, if not eliminate, low back irritation that may accompany hip flexion. I found that really interesting because, like, obviously a lot of people talk about low back pain, but the one thing you don't think of is that you're not you're not strengthening the right muscle in your leg, or you're not engaging that muscle when you're doing a sit-up. So you're actually using the wrong muscles, and that could be a reason why your back still hurts. So now here I wrote, low back pain. Problem with sit-ups is in large part due to deficiencies in muscle recruitment for hip flexion. So that's something I didn't know before. That, like, low back pain comes from that. And then 2, over-reliance on the iliopsoas and little or no innervation of the rectus femoris places an undue share of load on lumbar spine. And I know I had to look up those words. Innervation is just it's like supplying power to your nerves. The iliopsoas is the top part of the hip flexor, and then the rectus femoris. So the iliopsoas connects to the spine and the pelvis, whereas the rectus femoris just attaches to the pelvis. So the problem: few people have learned to fully engage the rectus femoris when powerfully flexing the hip. And that can go for also like all of your hip extension movements. So it's like you need to straighten that leg, right? You need to get, boom. You need to really straighten that leg. Engage the rectus femoris, and it will assist and take pressure off of the spine. Second part of the article was the hollow rock, and that's obviously a very hard movement. You can't really, my gym is a lot of people new to fitness, and so it's very hard for them to flex the spine. And so they gave me a good analogy. They said, turn your body into a rocking chair. We want the entire back to be rounded from the shoulders to the butt. If you can't rock smooth, it's because of a weakness and inability to, there's the word, innervate the lower abs. So just turn on the lower abs. It's very, very difficult to do. And so that's why a lot of times when people do the hollow rock, they clunk. Roll of the lower rectus is dramatic. Lower rectus is just lower abdominals. When you clunk, it comes from insufficient lumbar flexion of the lumbar, so getting it round, and lack of low ab recruitment. So that's something I was never good at, is understanding flexion and extension, but now, you just have to take a little bit of time to study it. And so now when the back is round, right? When you're in that cat-cow position, you're in that position, that's flexion, and then that's extension. And then that was it. So now moving on, the third was the L-sit, and this was the last part of it. It's an isometric, functional, and highly effective movement. It's a no joint movement, so that's why it's considered isometric. The dominant role of the abdominals is midline stabilization, not trunk flexion. I'll say that again. The dominant role of the abs is midline stabilization, not trunk flexion. Most important for everyday living and athletic movement, the leg being up places an enormous torque about the hip that must be
Today, Junior?
must be counteracted by the abs to keep both legs up and the spine from hyperextending. So as you can see, there's something that has to happen in order to keep the leg up. The abs have to hold it up. And there's a hip flexion test that it talked about how you can get somebody and you can have them lift their leg up, and usually people with not very good lower ab strength can't hold it up. And that's how I did it. It took me about 2 days. I read and read and read. Then I went and printed the thing out. And then I finally developed my own notes. And then now the third step is explaining it to you guys out loud. And I also did this for Mother's Day. We took a walk and I was explaining all this to my wife. So I think it's going really good. I appreciate you guys. I know these videos probably won't do that well because of the topics, but it is helping me get better. I appreciate all of you guys so much. Please give the video a like so the channel grows. And I'll see you guys in the next video. My client's getting here. See ya.